Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 24 of Matt and John Make a Podcast. We have much to get to today. This is going to be a very wrestling-heavy podcast this week. A lot of things happening. One of which being All Elite Wrestling. They have re-signed with T&T Turner. They got a rather big pay raise, you could say. We're going to touch on that. The whole Tessa Blanchard controversy.
Oh boy.
Which that it just continues to get worse and worse by the day. We're going to touch on that, and as well with the NFL playoffs, the AFC and the NFC championship games are this Sunday. And we will touch on that, and also with Dynamite and NXT. But the top story, Matt, I feel, is this Houston Astros cheating scandal, which, man, like, this has to be the biggest, just like from a competition standpoint, the biggest scandal that I have ever seen. The most consequential, and just to kind of run down on some things here. So AJ Hinch and the Houston Astros manager and the Houston Astros GM Jeff Loonhow, they were when the punishments first came down, they were suspended for a full season. Also with Houston, they were docked their first and second round picks for both the 2020 and the 2021 season, and they were also fined $5 million. That's within the first hour. And about 2 or 3 hours later, ownership of the Houston Astros comes out, and basically he announces AJ Hinch and Jeff Loonhow have been fired. They have been relieved of their duties. Oh, and you think that this is where everything ends, right, Matt? No, hell no. So then Alex Cora gets involved in this, which we come to find out between like him and Carlos Beltran were essentially the basic masterminds throughout all of this, and he eventually steps down as the Boston Red Sox manager, and there's also belief that he implemented some of the system that was going on in like Houston and Boston, and more specifically with their 2018 World Series season. And then there's Carlos Beltran, who was just previously hired as the New York Mets manager about 2 months ago.
November 1st.
November 1st. He steps down after his niece or whatever tweets out a few pictures of Jose Altuve, which clearly looks like a like Mike under his jersey or whatever. And she comes out and basically says that between him and Alex Bregman were had some sort of like microphone under their jersey.
To go off to the niece, I think it was to prove that it was not Beltran's niece.
Okay.
But Gary Sheffield Jr. And I'm getting this off of DKPittsburghSports.com, a local website. I'll have it linked. And you should be able to see it. But it says it was instead a Major League player's burner account.
Interesting. But still, like, just to kind of just summarize this whole thing, this was just, first of all, shocking. Like, just the details that Major League Baseball found out. Like, this was a hard and clear message by Major League Baseball and also by the ownerships of all three of these teams that basically they were not going to be tolerating any of this. This is the punishment that Major League Baseball laid down on the Houston Astros is exactly what the NFL should have done with the Patriots with their whole Spikegate BS. But wow, Matt, what was your first reaction when you heard all of this?
I can't believe. Again, if it went to this, we know they were stealing signs, videotaping. We know this, but a possible electronic device.
Yep.
Which is not proven yet.
No.
But if that's the case, I mean,
and supposedly too, like, I'm not. It was like AJ Hinch or someone like supposedly smashed a like video or a like monitor, and I believe was in their clubhouse where they have their instant replay room or something like that. I read something that where like some sort of like monitors or something were smashed, and that it was clearly very well put together. It was and it was also weird too, Matt, if you remember when Jose Altuve had his walk-off home run against Chapman, you can clearly see him saying, do not rip off my jersey. And
right now. And
what was even funnier is Ken Rosenthal of Fox interviewed him and asked him, why did you say that? And like it was really weird because he literally sprinted into the clubhouse, took off his jersey, threw it wherever, and
put on the shirt.
I was like, man, that
doesn't look good.
Like that, and how like this really never caught fire initially is the bigger surprise to me. Like, how did this
nobody thought about and that was possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I like he said that his wife didn't want him to do it, or he was shy or whatever. That is a BS, because there's various pictures online of him celebrating with his team with his jersey being ripped and basically being shirtless. Another thing I want to add is there was this picture online, I think, of Alex Bregman, I think, in an interview, and it looks like there was something taped to his chest, but other pictures show that was confetti.
Okay.
So I don't think those pictures prove anything.
No.
But Altuve saying, "Don't rip my jersey."
Well,
and running off.
Him rounding second base when someone like him zoomed in really close to his I believe it was to his right collarbone. You could clearly see that there is something there. Like is
it not a fold of this jersey?
No, because I even asked a friend of like mine, a coworker of mine who works as in like film on the side, and I asked her, "Hey, does this look like some sort of? Does this look like some sort of a like mic or something?" And she said, "Absolutely." So that's all that I need to know there. So, but regardless, it's just what, like, I mean, as far from a PR standpoint, Major League Baseball took a giant hit. Like, this like was spread over 3 separate organizations now. Granted, Carlos Beltran never officially started as the manager for the Mets, but man, like, I'm not sure how some people feel about this because Matt, I'm not sure if you saw this today, but supposedly some pitcher from the from formerly of the Chicago White Sox, his name escapes me, but supposedly he came out and said that supposedly that they were stealing signs back in the 80s or something when Tony La Russa was the manager or whatever. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, you know, what else could possibly happen here? But it's a sad thing to see, but you know. But
I'm trying to look at this picture, and I can't say one way or another if this bump under his jersey is a thing. I mean, that could just be anything.
I'm pretty convinced, but Matt, do you have anything more to add about this story, or did we pretty much cover it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see what will happen. I mean,
Well, I mean,
it's interesting to see what happens next year.
Well, I think the better question is are there going to be any punishments handed down to either Altuve or Bregman? Because I've seen a lot of players coming out and are calling for both of those guys to be suspended or punished in some form of fashion, which I don't believe is going to actually happen, because it would not surprise me at all if the commissioner came out and said that he granted immunity for some players just to get some information about this. So it's a weird thing, to say the least. And just to give you some stats on the discrepancy, Matt, and I pulled this up before I came over here for the podcast today. So Jose Altuve, his 2017 playoff stats at home: 36 at bats, 472 average, 6 home runs, 12 RBIs, and a OPS of 1541. At other ballparks in 2017 in the playoffs: 35 at bats, 143 average, 1 home run, 2 RBIs, and an OPS of 297. Holy discrepancy. Holy hell. I mean, skeptical hippo eyes there. But all right, so that, I think we covered that for long enough. But all right, we're going to recap some NFL football. As you guys know, there was divisional games last weekend where we saw the San Francisco 49ers absolutely destroy the Vikings. The Tennessee Titans stunned the Baltimore Ravens, which that blew me away. The Kansas City Chiefs who I thought were going to lose really badly, and then just said, you know what? All right, time to be serious, and scored.
JK.
Yeah, and legit scored about 40 unanswered points.
Just about close to it.
In about 2 quarters. And then we saw the Green Bay Packers barely squeaking by the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Matt, as I said here, the biggest stunner easily was the Baltimore Ravens just laying an egg against the Tennessee Titans. That game specifically just showed you the good and the bad with the Ravens. Like, it was pretty clear though that once the Tennessee Titans got a lead on the Ravens, they were in trouble, because as good as the Ravens offense is, that team is not built to come from behind. And when you have to force Lamar Jackson to throw 59 times, the chances are he's going to lose. I believe he got sacked 5 times. Had three turnovers, one of which was a lost fumble, and John Harbaugh was getting crushed for those two failed fourth down conversions, which honestly I can't really blame him for doing so, just because I believe up until that game they were at a 100% success rate.
Yeah.
When it came to that. So I'm not really criticizing him for that. It's just, Baltimore, I think, them sitting their starters
I don't
in week 17 had some sort of
I hate that. Nope. I hate that excuse.
Well, okay.
Because what about the bye week in the middle of the year? You're off for a week.
Well, that's like 1 week. They were essentially not playing football for a solid 3 weeks.
I don't buy it.
For a solid 3 weeks, which
I don't like the excuse.
Hey, it might be a terrible excuse, but you cannot deny though they were sluggish, they were sloppy, and I think it definitely had a hand in them not playing well. But at the end of the day, it just came down to just a lack of execution, and in just unlike what the Kansas City Chiefs are built to come from behind. Patrick Mahomes to me, is clearly the best quarterback in football. And he proved that. Like, he was essentially unstoppable. When his receivers finally started catching passes and dropping everything and not getting killed on special teams, they were flat out the way better team than the Houston Texans. And I don't blame people for thinking that Kansas City might be favorites to win the Super Bowl. From the AFC side, what did you see from these games here?
To get back to Baltimore real quick. Unfortunately for Lamar Jackson. I said his name wrong the other day for some reason, so I paused. I said something weird. Anywho, so far 0 for 2 in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going to have that over his head.
Yep.
Until he wins a game.
And they weren't just like they weren't just playoff losses. They were really bad games. Like he was awful. I mean, like, there is no other way around it. And people say, well, he still had 500 total yards.
Means nothing.
But that was at the point where the game was completely
garbage
out of
yards.
reach. Like they were with Tennessee, they were essentially playing a prevent defense at that point. So it just those numbers are extremely misleading there, if you ask me.
Ravens losing that as bad as they did, kind of was surprising. But they ran into a Tennessee team that is
Derrick Henry.
That's just playing their best football at the right time.
Reminds you a lot of the 2005 Steelers.
I was going to say that. Yep. As long as you play right, it doesn't matter how you start; it's how you finish.
Right.
49ers winning. That
game was a complete mismatch. And I was talking to my friend Eric, who is a diehard San Francisco 49ers fan. He was so nervous, and I was telling him all week, dude, you guys are going to kill that team. Just, people, and for the life of me, and I said this on the podcast last week, why was everyone picking Minnesota? Why was everyone so confident in Kirk Cousins? Like, did we not see that the San Francisco 49ers are completely healthy now on defense? They have now back E Ford and K1 Alexander now. Like, it was game over. And outside of a lucky pass where the corner for San Francisco basically tripped over his own feet, they had, I think, barely 100 yards of total offense for the rest of the game. Like, it was that big of a mismatch. Just, they could not block San Francisco's defensive line, and on the other side of the ball, just the San Francisco 49ers just ran the ball right down the Vikings' throats. And like hell, I believe it was in the third quarter, they ran 12 straight running plays and scored 6. And that's when you knew this game is over.
Yeah. Then we have, I talked about Ravens, Kansas City, and Texans. Texans again was came out guns a-blazing. Yep. It was up, what was the score, 20?
It was 24-0.
24-0, that's right.
By the second
quarter.
And
then, which you're like, holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
But two dumb things. You don't go forward in 4th and 1, where were they at that point? Were they on
I would say
Kansas City side?
Yeah, so they were on the 30-yard line or the 25-yard line.
If you go for it, you try to get field goal.
You freaking go for it because
you go for it or you try to get points. One of the two options, right?
And personally, I would have gone for it because I don't want to give Kansas City any sort of like hope or anything. But of course,
I don't know. Maybe I would get for the points to go up 27. Sure, I don't know. It's not a sure thing. But for 4th and 1, regardless, 4th and 1 is more manageable than the 4th and 4 fake punt.
Which
that
made
no sense.
Made no sense because then
you're on your side of the football field.
And two, this is directly after Kansas City goes down the field and scores. Now you give Patrick Mahomes a short field, and now just like that, it's 24-14.
Even if you obviously didn't know what was going to happen after, we've watched sports. For how long I've seen it, that momentum can change, just the way a game can change in an instant.
It freaking changed when Houston kicked that field goal, and on the kickoff, I think they had a 60-yard return or something.
I think they had a good one.
And that kind of started. And
was that before the fake punt?
Before because that was on Kansas City's first touchdown drive. So So basically, once 24-14 hit, it was essentially game over at that point because Houston just could not stop Patrick Mahomes, could not stop Travis Kelce, who had I believe 3 touchdowns.
Did he have 4? Did he have 4?
I don't know. He had at least 3. I know that much.
Let me look this up again.
But it just, man, was it was a sight to behold because I was like, they can't stop him. And at that point too, Houston couldn't score.
Their offense couldn't do anything.
Offense didn't do anything. So
that would have helped if you could have done something.
So basically, the Kansas City Chiefs scored 28 points in the second quarter alone, which is some of the craziest stuff I've seen. But man, Kansas City
3 touchdowns.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. Okay, so Kansas City wins. They put up 51 points on that defense.
Pretty much until Houston scored late in the third. 41 straight points.
Yep. Wow.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
And then real quick, and then Packers, the Seahawks, close game like I thought it was going to be. That was, I think we said it was a toss-up between last week. It was a toss-up.
I was so happy that the Packers won. I did not want to see another game between Seattle and San Francisco, so I was extremely happy with that result. But the championship games are now set, Matt. We have the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tennessee Titans and the San Francisco 49ers versus the Green Bay Packers. Now, definitely, I'm looking more forward to the Green Bay and the San Francisco game. I feel like that is going to be very interesting. I think this is where the Cinderella story ends for the Tennessee Titans. I just don't think that they're going to be able to score enough points to be able to keep up because from what I'm thinking, they have to score at least 28 or 30 points to realistically win this game, and I just don't think that's going to happen because if they're going to put up that many points, Ryan Tannehill has to do something. I mean, he's not going to be able to just pass for 72 or 83 yards in this game and expect for the Tennessee Titans to pull out a victory here. You're going to be facing a much more potent offense, speed at every single skills position, Matt. I mean, it's going to be a much tougher game for the Titans because unlike with the Baltimore Ravens, they have a dynamic passing attack, to say the least. And what do you think about that game?
Yeah, I think I don't know how you can go against Kansas City after that last week's game with that just potent offense. I think if Kansas City stops Henry,
if they stop Henry,
if they contain him,
if they do that, like Kansas City could realistically win this game by 3 touchdowns. Like it's
I feel
it could be that big of a blowout.
I'm feeling that it might be close in the beginning, but I think Kansas City just wears them down enough and goes off in the second half. We got and on the NFC side, we got Green Bay and San Francisco.
Yeah, so at this game here, these two teams played, I believe it was back in Week 12, where the 49ers just absolutely just annihilated the Packers. I believe this was on Monday Night Football, if I do recall. And put it this way, this was a 49ers team who I believe didn't have 3 starters on defense. They didn't have their starting fullback. They didn't have Emmanuel Sanders, and George Kittle was pretty banged up too. I think this is really set up for the San Francisco 49ers here. And just by the way that the Packers played against Seattle, you're going to be facing a much more difficult San Francisco front. I don't think that they're going to be able to stop them. I'm not convinced that Packers defense is going to be able to stop the running game of the San Francisco 49ers. If they cannot stop with their running game, they have no chance. They have none. Like, especially if they become a 1-dimensional team with the Packers. I mean, and we saw it from that game in the regular season. Like they just overwhelmed them. I think Rodgers barely had over 100 yards passing in that game, if like memory serves correctly. So it was a very lopsided win, and if the Packers want any shot, they have to run the ball. They need to have some sort of a balanced offensive attack, and they need to find a way to not get dominated by that San Francisco running game. If they can't do any of those, Matt, I think this could also be a potential blowout here. Like it would not surprise me if both of these games were not competitive. I think clearly the two best teams left now are the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers.
Yep.
And I am definitely picking San Francisco in this game here.
Yeah, me too. I think San Francisco gets in the way of all our hopes and dreams of our State Farm Super Bowl. Because as much as I like those commercials, all the talk up to that if Green Bay wins and Kansas City wins, but I think we got to go with the favorites.
Yep, I'm sticking with the Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers. I think, and if that is a Super Bowl, man, is that going to be a tremendous game. So fingers crossed that is the Super Bowl that we get for this year. All right, so that's enough of the NFL talk. Matt, the notorious one is making his return this weekend. Yes, Conor McGregor is now returning for the first time since his last fight from last October, UFC 229. He will be in the main event this weekend against Donald Cowboy Cerrone. This to me is set up as sort of a Conor comeback here. He's really he's really fallen on some hard times, and if you guys have been paying attention with the build up in his interviews this week, this is a much more humbled Conor, a much more calmer Conor. Like you aren't seeing him talking so much trash this week. Like something clearly has happened within the last 6 to 8 months, where he's taking his career much more seriously now. I feel like this this was definitely something that needed to happen for him. Because as much as Cowboy has struggled and like he got starched by Justin Gaethje in his last fight and Tony Ferguson before that, Cowboy is still a very dangerous fighter, and I still worry with Conor with his inactivity. His last fight was over 480 days ago. So that's a clear concern. So we're going to see, how sharp he is. Him fighting at 170 as to 155. And I think the last I checked the odds, Matt, I think he was a minus 330. I believe was the last odds from when I checked a few days ago. I'm sticking with Conor. I just don't really trust Cowboy. I feel like that this is going to end in a TKO in either rounds 1 or 2. I will say this though, if this goes into rounds 4 or 5, that's when Cowboy has a shot.
McGregor is minus 335 favorite, and Cowboy plus 260.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas clearly loves on Conor's chances here. So, I think unless something drastic happens, I think he is going to win here. The bigger question is going to be, if he wins, where does he go from here? Does he go to a possible fight against Masvidal? Does he go and fight Nate for the third time, or God forbid, will they give us the Conor and Khabib rematch? Which I know I don't care to see that fight at all, but we'll see what happens with that. But it's always exciting to be part of a Conor fight week. Those I miss these with a passion. Just there's so much more energy, and you can clearly tell it's a Conor fight week because it's all over mainstream media, Matt. Like ESPN, Fox, you name it, it's being talked about. It's just he's the biggest star in combat sports right now. He's the biggest name in MMA right now. So, Matt, anything to add there?
We're gonna be at our local casino watching it.
Absolutely.
Like always.
It's gonna be fun.
I think possibly this can be somewhat close in the beginning. This fight, I don't think it's gonna be a wham bam, thank you ma'am. No. But I think I'm going with Conor.
Yep. As
much as I like Cowboy.
Mm-hmm. All right, now it's time to get into some professional wrestling talk now. The first thing we're going to touch on is the whole Tessa Blanchard stuff. All right, so before I even start this, let me go to Tessa Blanchard's Twitter page here.
Go
ahead. And I will kindly read what started this whole controversy with her. So last, I believe, was last Saturday or Sunday, whichever days. Tessa took to Twitter and stated, quote, "Hey women, try supporting one another. Cool things happen." Which I thought was a completely harmless thing, and nothing would really come out of it. Then the floodgates opened, Matt. Whether it was Sienna from the NWA, Chelsea Green, there was like numerous people from Japan, independent wrestlers, people from NXT came out, basically just lambasting Tessa, just basically calling her a racist, claiming that she supposedly spit in a girl's face and called her the N-word over in Japan, and that was supposedly why she was banned from the Stardom promotion, from what I read there. And Tessa just handled this whole thing completely horribly. And then she came out with a statement, which was yesterday. Which was yesterday. She said, and I quote, "Over the last week, I have been accused of calling a fellow wrestler a racial slur. To read this allegation has been personally upsetting. To be clear, I absolutely did not use that word. That word is not in my vocabulary. That word is not in my heart. Racism is not in my heart. Yet I know many people have to deal with racism in a way I will never have to. Racism is an awful part of American history, and it is equally awful that it's still part of our society today. While I did not do what was claimed, I am ready to use my platform to support the fight against racism however I can." And that to me just shows you just quite frankly how dumb that test is. Like, it's one thing, Matt, if it's just one person who's just claiming this. It's like he said, she said sort of thing. Oh, okay, fine. Or in this case, she said,
if it's one person,
yeah,
then
yeah,
it's like,
but multiple people.
There would have to be a conspiracy amongst all these people to be like, hey, we're gonna nab her.
Well, and like also, Matt, I read a story before I came over today, and this was done by Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful, where he wrote in the Fightful Select category there, basically explaining an incident or incidents that were happening over with the women's promotion WOW, where basically Tessa was essentially bullying the whole entire roster. Like, supposedly she made a trainer cry and called her a terrible trainer who shouldn't be training people. Just like, these was just the behavior that Tessa was constantly doing, and you can see why WWE passed on her. It's stuff like this. And initially when this came out, I thought that Sienna and Chelsea were really jealous of Tessa, so on and so forth. But then more details came out, and I gotta say, I felt bad for saying that, because, man, like, just the details that have come out, like, to me, there is no defense against this. Like, she looks like a horrible person. She looks like a freaking racist here. And I don't throw that word around lightly, but when you spit in a black girl's face and say the N-word to her face backstage, like, I mean, I don't know how anyone can defend that. I don't care what the context is. Like, it's like whatever was said, it could not have been that bad. And according to a lot of people who were there that saw that incident happen, it was completely uncalled for, and it's just a really bad look for Tessa, because, to Matt, this happened on the night before that she went on to win the Impact World title.
You couldn't have a worse timing of anything.
Like, an absolute worst timing, and it just, man, like, I felt so bad too, because I'm a huge Tessa fan, and I still think that Tessa is one of, if not the best women's wrestler in the world right now.
Yep.
But now that is being completely overshadowed by this controversy right now, and I mean, like, I honestly think too, this is going to hurt her. It's definitely going to hurt her leverage a bit when she does have her contract up, because I believe that's up this summer, and everything was set up for her to get a giant payday from either All Elite Wrestling or from WWE. Now I have no idea what's going to happen now because
does anybody want to touch that?
Yeah, exactly, and especially for how image conscious that the WWE is in. I'm sure with AEW and Tony Khan, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't want to even touch that either. So it's a complicated situation to say the least. Matt, anything to add here?
Kind of on the same topic but off topic. I listened to Jim Cornette's take on this, the video. If you haven't watched it, it's the second half was hilarious because they talked about this, and then they got into. Did you remember hearing about Tessa allegedly? I guess that she made a videotape or an audio tape of herself. Apparently she can, like, if people donate money, they can send messages or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think she had that. I apparently she made a tape or audio tape for somebody of her taking a crap. Listen to Jim Cornette's. Find that. They played it in the YouTube clip. Laughed my ass off. Because you just... I don't know if that's her voice.
So is she taking the crap or is the fan taking the crap?
I think she's taking the crap. And then, like, talking dirty. I kind of want to... I want to make... I'm not going to definitely not play it. But I want to... Let me look this up to make sure...
Yeah, definitely do
but
not play that.
But, I guess that's a thing. Because,
well, regardless,
I put in Tessa Blanchard poop.
Yeah.
In the Google.
Christ.
Take that, NSA.
That is something I never thought that I would be hearing on the podcast tonight. But to close the book on this segment here, Tessa really should never. I feel like as far as that statement was concerned, she was better off just either saying nothing at all, or just apologizing, just saying, hey, I said some really indefensible things. I've worked to become a better person. I am not that person. Yada yada yada. No, she just completely just continues to deny all of this. It just looks
apparently one of the lines from, I forgot this, I'm on one of this forums, and you seriously, you have to go listen to it. It's a good discussion in the first half, and then it somehow turns to that. Hilarious. But at one point the toilet flushes, and I think Corny goes, well, there's the finish.
Moving on. All right. Okay, so the biggest wrestling news of the week, Matt, was the announcement by TNT that they have renegotiated their contract with All Elite Wrestling, which is now extending to 2023 with, I believe they have an option for the 2024 year. So basically some details from this, according to the Wrestling Observer, this averages to about $45 million per year, a split in the ad revenue, and it was also revealed that AEW will not be paying for their own production now, and it was also revealed by the president of TNT that they will be that AEW Dark will now be appearing on TNT, at which has not yet been determined. Now, my first reaction when I heard this, Matt, was not bad for a T-shirt company, huh?
I thought it was like, oh man, that was quick. But okay, good for them. I mean, what am I gonna say? I mean,
like,
the higher ups must like it. So
I think by them renegotiate not even a full year after they signed really told me that AEW really exceeded TNT's expectations. We'll get into ratings talk I'm shortly here, but this week AEW outdrew the NBA on ESPN this week.
Seems like that's not a hard thing to do.
No,
for anybody.
No, it's just like and it's crazy to think about, but you kind of see why TNT is probably jumping on this bandwagon. I mean, and just from a common sense standpoint, they're just, when you're averaging 900,000 a week, and when you're doing really well in that all important 18 to 49 demographic, TNT was going to gravitate towards that. And on top of that, how many other shows on that network are going to bi-weekly are going to do that consistent of viewership, especially 52 weeks a year? It's just they don't have that show, so it's it's great for professional wrestling, and more importantly, it's great for the wrestlers, because now there's a clear number two that has a profitable. AEW is going to be a profitable company now, which that was going to be a big issue because supposedly from what Tony Khan and they have said that they were prepared for that first year to be a pretty tough year as far as making an actual profit, and now they are making a profit now, Matt. I mean, tip your cap to not only AEW but the fan base. It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's good. They're make money. They worked out in their favor. They're just building the brand. I mean, in terms of them, it's solid. You can't complain if you're a AEW fan.
No, and now we're gonna get into some ratings talk now. Well, I mean, to me, this was not a very surprising result, Matt. I think, and you may disagree with me here, and that's fine. I think this is going to be more of the norm, because I think when we saw NXT beat them a few times and get pretty close to them a few times, I truly do feel that was off of the back of Survivor Series and them having all of that steam behind that. But now that 2-week layoff for them, I feel really killed a lot of the steam that they had.
Well,
and
you could say that about AEW had a layoff a period too. I think what's helping them is that they have special shows. They had Bash at the Beach this week. They had tribute to was it Memphis Wrestling the week before. Then they had the Homecoming show. So they have all these special shows with different names.
And not to mention as well, next week they're going to be on
the Jericho Cruise.
On the Jericho Cruise.
So I expect similar numbers.
Yeah.
Around.
I feel like that this is probably where they are currently leveling out now. Is probably around that 900,000 number there. Now, and this is not to hate on NXT, but from a visual standpoint and from just a pure star standpoint, AEW just has a clear advantage here. And I will say NXT has a far superior in-ring wrestling right now. I mean, hell, that freaking Riddle and Pete Dunne match.
I believe every match on this show this week was just crazy.
Exactly, but as we're seeing, Matt, that is not equating to better ratings. And I think as far as from an entertainment aspect, and more specifically with the Jericho stuff, which we will get into shortly, but just to get into some specifics here, Matt, AEW, they had 940,000 to NXT 700,000, and in the all important 18 to 249, AEW finished at 0.38, while NXT finished at 0.21, and AEW finished fifth on cable, and NXT finished on 31st. So at least they got with in the top 50 this week, but yeah, so pretty crazy. But Matt, any thoughts to add as far with the ratings here?
Nah.
No? Okay. All right, so then let's get into some AEW Dynamite. This was, I would say, Dynamite's best show in at least a month. I feel. I mean, like it's been like the last 2 weeks have been pretty rough. And I'm probably being kind here, but the show kicks off with a fatal four-way between the Bucks versus Best Friends versus Omega and Hangman versus Santana and Ortiz. Matt, what did you think about this match?
What match would
I
think it's a good match. Solid match to open.
Really teasing Hangman's his inner conflict with Kenny, with the Bucks and everything.
Apparently, it's so conflicted that he's an alcoholic now for some reason.
Yeah, this is.
I don't know where this is coming from.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued. But yeah, like he's playing the old drunk uncle apparently here.
Yeah,
so
all of a sudden he is. Yeah. I don't know what to.
Mm-hmm. But this was a very high paced, a very fun match, and this resulted with Kenny and Hangman getting the win, and they will be getting a title shot next week on Dynamite against SCU. I'm very interested to see how this is going to go. Because honestly, I don't exactly know what's going to happen here, because they could go in several different ways here. This could be where Hangman finally snaps and turns completely heel here. That could happen, or Hangman and Kenny could just win the tag titles, which honestly I wouldn't be against, just because to this point, SCU really haven't really done anything with those tag titles. They've been, to be perfectly honest, afterthoughts. So
there.
Yep, they are just there. But yeah, so that will be set up for next week. Then we got the Cody promo, which was sensational. Matt, thoughts on Cody's promo here?
Like always good,
top notch. Just, I mean, like you can make the argument right now that Cody is probably the best babyface in the business right now. You can definitely make that argument, which I wouldn't be against right now. But basically, Cody accepts all of MJF's stipulations, which require him facing Wardlow in a steel cage, which that is happening on February 19th in Atlanta. He has to take 10 lashings from MJF, and the third stipulation was he cannot touch MJF until Revolution, and these are all stipulations for the two to have their all anticipated match at AEW Revolution in Chicago on February 29th. So yeah, a very successful segment, and basically the whole tone of this was like, I felt like was Cody he was taking it seriously, but at the same time trying to make MJF look like to make MJF look like a coward, a guy who's like overthinking his stance on this, and also just like, what's the words that I'm looking for? Just essentially that I kind of lost my train of thought there. But Matt, anything more to add from Cody's promo there?
Nope, it's good. I like the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
One of the few good storylines in this company.
It's probably my favorite storyline right now with AEW is definitely MGF and Cody. So then we move on to, God help me, the Nightmare Collective. So at this point,
I hate this. I say, I'm going to preface this by saying I had a long day at work of
God bless you, by the way,
giving makeup standardized testing, okay, and sitting there all day. So that doing nothing actually drains you. It was just boring. So I got home. I laid in bed to watch this in time because I had something else in the evening to do. So I wanted to get this through. And this is when I'm starting to doze off.
So did the whole entire crowd because up until this point, this crowd was super lively and hot. But as soon as Brandi Rhodes and that Nightmare BS Collective show up, this crowd goes completely silent. I'm hoping that this continues to happen when these clowns come out, because maybe then, Cody, Kenny, and all of the VPs realize this group is terrible. Quit putting them on TV because they kill any sort of credibility that the women might have had, and kill any sort of energy that you're going to have. It's a terrible group. It's not over. It's not going to get over. And get Uncle Fester off of my freaking television.
Wait. There was a point that I think it was Brandi distracted the ref, right? From what? Nothing. I don't think anything happened. I forget what they did. Was it something with a chair? I don't know. And then, but Uncle Fester, or whatever the.
It doesn't matter what his name. Who cares?
Was cue ball was. You could see him. He was kind of just sitting out there, right? Meanwhile, the ref is distracted. He could have done something, but I don't think anything happened. It was a pointless distraction.
Mm-hmm.
And then the freaking ET, freaking Statlander, freaking alien, apparently, does this like flip off the apron.
And she completely misses her?
Yes, when I was somewhat conscious for this. I was just like, what?
How about her trying to kick? I think
I'm probably not going to remember.
I think it was Mel. She completely missed her by. It was bad to where you actually saw her slapping her thigh, like it was that obvious how badly she missed that kick. It was a very sloppy match.
Everybody raved about the Statlander, but nothing I've seen, maybe for a little bit, has been like, holy crap, here's a star.
In her defense, though, like what she has to currently work with, no one is going to succeed with that.
But there's no women's wrestler that, if you take a look, just objectively, not what you've seen before, that stands out as a star in this company.
Mm-hmm.
You got Riho, somehow is still champion.
God help us. It's a giant train wreck right now. And
if Statlander can't beat Riho, who the hell can? At this point, it means nothing.
She took a freaking powerbomb from freaking Nyla Rose, who has a good 150 pounds on her at least, and she kicked out of that. So they just need to completely just blow up this whole division and just start from scratch.
I don't want to say Nyla Rose was buried, but it doesn't look good when she lost to Riho on the first episode. Right? And somehow Riho like slid up from the pin. That little move, I forget, from Nyla Rose, that could probably kick both our asses at the same time.
Right, exactly.
Like it, just and I'm gonna say this every week, and I seem like I say this every week. Just watching the women's battle royal at NXT
is nice.
After when you cut the fat off, obviously in the battle royal, you wait till there's less people so you actually can do stuff. It's just like star. People like you. People like you. People like you. People care. People care.
Yep.
It's care much, but I do.
It's the one main flaw in all Elite Wrestling. They need to get this women's division.
When I see a women's match, it's just like,
it's a drag, and there's not much else to say. So I'm not going to even talk about that match. I'm just going to move on right now.
I don't know who. Wait, who even? I don't even know who won.
Hikaru Shida and Chris Statler pinned.
That's right. Pin Mel, which
I'm like, she sucks too. So
buried her.
Moving on. All right. So now we get some good stuff. Jon Moxley versus Sammy Guevara. This was a pretty decent match.
I think this is where I don't remember much of the ending here. But before you go on, Sammy is annoying to me, and it's not the he's a heel, he's doing his job. I hate the damn cue cards.
No, the cue cards are awesome.
No, I hate this cue cards.
No.
Just how he says it, it's just like he looks and he does the same motion every time he reads it, like, oh, I'm gonna kick your ass. Oh, that's annoying. Oh, he doesn't say, he reads it like I'm like a teacher reading a story to a bunch of kindergartners. It's annoying.
Hey man, want to see this cue card here?
Oh, it's a bunch. It's like, hey. And it's like, it's the cheese. It annoys me because it's him. I hate the damn phone. I hate the phone. He is my Baron. He's my Sammy Guevara is to me what Baron Corbin is to you.
Well, the difference is Sammy is actually funny and entertaining.
That is your opinion.
Nope, it's fact.
No.
Baron Corbin.
Damn it.
All right, and on to the match. So we had a very good match between Moxley versus Sammy. Some would say this probably went on a little bit too long, and Sammy got in maybe a little bit too much offense here. But I see what they were trying to do. They were trying to make Sammy look good, while at the same time Moxley winning here. And this was a pretty cool finish. Sammy dives off from the top, and like Moxley gets him in a freaking chokehold, and that's when the match ends. That was a pretty cool finish. So after the match, we get a very interesting.
I think this is where I lose consciousness.
Okay. Well, this is essentially what happened, Matt.
I woke up after I remember now after he's covering his eye.
Yes.
I missed the whole how he got to it.
So basically, Chris Jericho in the inner circle came down and just beat the crap out of Jon Moxley, and so Jericho grabs one of the freaking thorns or whatever from his jacket, and he stabs Moxley in the eye
because that's believable.
But supposedly this was a callback to a angle from the NWA when the Legion of Doom stabbed when they stabbed Dusty Rhodes in the eye, and that was a callback to that there. So that was kind of
attempted murder.
Yes. So that was kind of cool, and so basically they wrap Moxley's eye completely around, which
Okay, how long into the show was this?
This was probably a quarter after 9. So
Okay.
about hour 2 though. So yeah.
So we had the 6-man tag match, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had Darby Allin and versus Pac,
Which no,
the main event.
yeah.
In between. So okay, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but if somebody stabs me in the eye,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't you think he'd be gone by the hospital for within an hour at most?
Well, at the same time though, if it's his character too. He takes pain. He's not exactly the most like sane person in the world. It'd be
I
different.
just thought of it now.
Yeah, it'd be different if it was say like either like a Sammy Guevara or a like Matt or like Nick Jackson. But with Moxley, he's crazy. So
I mean,
it fits.
we're just
So
gonna stab people in the eye now, Jericho.
well, I mean, he is the pain maker. So
Oh Jesus! What? Who said that?
I did, or no, that was his name in like a New Japan
Oh,
too.
the Painmaker.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that because
The
I don't watch
Painmaker.
New Japan.
Obviously. So okay. Then this leads to a 6-man tag, or no, sorry. Before we even get to that, oh Matt, forgot to talk about this. Did you see the Dark Order vignette by the way earlier?
Yeah, I did. I remember that.
So this is weird. Like the non-in-ring stuff that these guys do are really good and are really cool, but when they get in the ring, it completely sucks. Like it's just like it's such a Jekyll and Hyde thing every single week, and I just wish that we could just get some damn consistency here. But this was pretty cool. They were speaking to their to quote unquote their leader there, which apparently was originally supposed to be Marty Scurll originally, but he is now signing over back with Ring of Honor. So I'm very interested to see who's going to be eventually revealed as this person. I'm praying that it's Matt Hardy. I feel like that would be kind of perfect for him and his persona, so that's what I'm currently in prayer for. But now, on to the 6-man tag.
AEW likes their 6-man tags.
Sure do. So we have DDP, QT Marshall, and Dustin Rhodes versus Bed Bath & Beyond and MJF. This was the MJF show.
Yeah. It's really not a bad thing.
No, it is not. Just the man is just so damn entertaining. He just gets it. Like just his antics.
What was the move that I think you said it was going to be funny, and I think I saw it. Did he get? Oh crap! Did he get his? He got hit by a move or something. I forget. Holy crap! And he starts. He just starts.
Yeah,
like an idiot.
Dustin Rhodes gave him a Canadian destroyer.
Oh yeah.
And MJF pops up. He's
It's
like
just
staggering, and like he was just punching in the air, and I was losing it when he was doing that. But between that and when he like hit, I want to say he hit. Maybe he hit Dustin with the brass knucks in the back, which that was kind of sneaky.
No, it was the ring.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was the ring. I remember that.
So, like, just like small things like that, just to like generate a little bit of heat. He's a freaking genius, man. Like,
he's doing all the stuff, the traditional stuff. Well,
yep.
He's probably the one of the best performers in that company right now.
And guys, he's 23 years old.
He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's not whatever other. He's not the cool heel.
No,
right?
He's doing everything he can to get hated.
He's bad and we like him. No, he's doing
He's not Adam Cole to put it that way.
That team always fluctuates.
Yeah. So now this was built up to a hot tag from DDP, who Matt, I thought here he looked pretty good here, honestly.
He looked good. They protected him as much as he didn't have to do a whole lot.
Nope. And like, you shouldn't have to. I was just very impressed with his physique. DDP Yoga has been very kind to him, to say the least there. But he did a dive off of the top rope. I mean, like, that it wasn't exactly graceful or anything, but that was cool. But
it worked.
But this match ends abruptly when MJF schoolboys QT Marshall, and the match was over.
I blinked. I was like, "What? Freaking QT freaking Marshall!"
But so
playing the dweeb.
Yep. So MJF, he gets a cheap win. And I'm very excited to see this build over the next 5 weeks for Cody and MJF. I'm very interested to see how that 10 lashings is going to come off, which that I feel is going to be a spectacle when they eventually do that over the next 5 weeks here. Okay, so then this gets us to the main event. And also there was a backstage segment with the Inner Circle where basically Jericho said that the winner of the match between Pac and Darby Allin would face Moxley for the number 1 contendership for the AEW World Title. So this was a number 1 contenders match, which was a pretty good match. I will say, Matt, Darby Allin got a really good reaction here when he came out. So he's getting more and more over as the weeks are going on here. And this was a pretty solid main event. Now, when this started, I questioned why this was closing the show, especially with how that angle was shot with Moxley. But then seeing what eventually happened, you kind of understand why. But a very good match. Pac, he wins. I kind of felt like that he had to win here, although I was really rooting for Darby Allin to win here. But he wins with the Black Arrow, which that's probably one of, if not the most protected finisher in this company right now. No one has kicked out of that to this point yet. So yeah, that's going pretty good. Then we get Tony Schiavone in the ring with Pac. He starts an interview, and basically Pac says Moxley that he will not be cleared to compete, blah blah blah. Eventually Tony Schiavone turns it into the backstage where you see Moxley in an ambulance. He gets out of the ambulance, kicks open those doors, and then goes through backstage, goes through Gorilla, and gets on the microphone and tells Pac, he said, "I will go through hell, yada yada, and I will definitely face you next week." And the winner of that, as I said, will face Chris Jericho at Revolution for the AEW World Title. And that's how the show goes off the air. So all in all, a pretty good show from Dynamite. Some pretty good promos, some pretty good build up. Outside of the god awful Nightmare Collective, I didn't have too many other gripes with this show. So Matt, anything more to add about Dynamite here?
No, I think let's move on to
all right.
NXT.
To NXT, Matt, I'll let you take the floor here.
I thought this was another pretty good show of NXT. John, you got to start watching these.
It's just, I mean, and I've kind of told you this, man. Just my motivation or or like want to see NXT is just so low right now that
There's still good shows.
I mean,
if I can do it,
hell, I'm not disagreeing with you, man. It's just my interest level is just.
there's some good crap.
I know, man. Like and I consistently tell you, man, it's the best wrestling, like every single week. There's no doubt about that. But I just cannot pull myself to watch these every single week. It's just,
you're missing out. We opened the show with Keith Lee promo. He is a star in the making, if not already. Pretty much since he's a number one contender for Roderick Strong's North American title. As he cuts the promo, Undisputed Era comes out and just comes out and attacks Keith Lee. Eventually, Tommaso Ciampa comes out, and before he comes out, they grab the steel chair, put it around Keith Lee's ankle, and I believe who was it? Somebody jumped off the top of the turnbuckle. I'm assuming it was Roderick Strong, and smashed a chair over the ankle. And then right after that, Ciampa comes out and has a quick stare down with Adam Cole, and Undisputed Era leaves the ring. After that, we have the first match of the Dusty Rhodes Classic, or the first match of this week. To finish off the first round, we had Pete Dunne, Matt Riddle versus the NXT UK team of Andrews and Webster, and Flash Morgan Webster. I think it's Andrews. Yeah. This was a hell of a tag team match. Very impressed with Andrews and Webster. Flash Morgan Webster, like before he wrestles, looks like the British version of Orange Cassidy. Looks like it could be that. This was I have here a fun match, just hard hitting. I think this one of my favorite spots comes right at the end. With Andrew does a shooting star off the top rope, and Dunne hits him with a right hand as he comes down. He flips around. Oh my God! I'm sitting there. I had to go back to my school for extracurricular activities that I sponsor, and quotes. And I'm sitting here watching this on my laptop, and I literally threw my hands up on my head because that was a hell of a spot. It was perfectly done, and Dunne and Riddle get the win. Then we get a Tommaso Ciampa promo in the ring, and we get the Undisputed Era to attack him, and now Gargano comes out to make the save, and the crowd is chanting DIY, thinking of a possible reunion. You can see there's that tension, like, should we, shouldn't we? And then we move on to the last match of the first round of the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Kushida and Alex Shelley versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. When I first put this down, I put Grizzly Young Veterans. That's not right. It's Grizzled Young Veterans. I haven't seen much of the Young Veterans team before. Pretty much any of the NXT UK teams. I got to start watching that because just hearing the takeover, I think from last week, was pretty good. I have here another fun match. I wish if they can combine the tag teams from the UK and regular NXT, you would have probably one of the best tag team divisions in wrestling. You could argue that.
And at least someone in this company cares about tag team wrestling. Vince. Excuse me. But continue.
Surprisingly, the Grizzly Young Veterans get the win and ruin the reunion of Kushida and Alex Shelley.
By the way, there was a lot of people really pissed that those guys lost that match.
Yeah, tell us. I mean, you see where they go. If they're telling the story, let them tell the story. Then we get a little promo pre-tape from I think is it Roger Stone. That's the manager of Chelsea Green, said he pulled her from the Battle Royal because these women are just taking her spotlight or something like that. So she wasn't in it. But before the Battle Royal, we get a Leah Rush versus Tyler Breeze versus Isaiah Swerve Scott. And the winner goes on to the Cruiserweight, I think a Fatal 4-Way Cruiserweight championship match at
Worlds Collide.
Worlds Collide, I think on Saturday.
Yep, next Saturday.
So you have 2 from NXT, 2 from NXT UK.
Actually, I think it's one from 2005. It's one from NXT UK. I believe it's 2 from NXT. I believe it's that.
Wow, because the sort of graphic I saw was it had 2 from NXT UK and then 2 from NXT.
Okay.
Which Garza is from NXT,
right.
Swerve is from NXT, and then the other 2 are from NXT UK.
Okay.
At least that's what I saw in the graphic they showed me.
It lie.
Maybe they changed it from Wednesday because I've watched it today, which is Friday.
Wouldn't surprise me.
But I don't think. Anywho, so the Swerve gets the win. I think that at least surprised me. I like his finisher. I don't even know how to describe it.
Swerve, bro.
I don't even know. His finisher just looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It looks good. I think it pinned. I think he pinned Tyler Breeze.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's called the GML Driver. Yes, awesome match. And he goes on to Worlds Collide. Then we get a promo outside of the arena with Jump on Gargano. I believe they agreed to team up in a tag team. And as soon as they are about to shake hands, you just hear a bunch of commotion, and security is trying to stop Undisputed Era from attacking them. So there's a big fight, and then all of a sudden they're like right by these big bushes or hedges, whatever you call it, and all of a sudden Keith Lee comes out of nowhere and just takes out a security guard through the bushes. It was hilarious.
Bask in his glory.
Comes back out. I think Undisputed Era is running away, and he gets a security guard and throws him in the car on this car through the windshield, and he gets another security guard and throws him on his table thing.
Apparently Keith Lee does in a Mustangs.
No, he does not, and he's just going just ecstatic because of what Undisputed Era did to him earlier in the night. So I think that was a good spot for him. They're building him really good. And then we close out the show with the Battle Royal, Women's Battle Royal to name a number 1 contender for the NXT Women's Championship. We had a couple debuts or re-debuts. We got Shotzi Blackheart made her NXT debut. Mercedes.
Matt, I'm not sure if you recall her, but she was in that Evolve show from when we went to WrestleMania weekend last year.
I saw a story about her on the thing about something with another thing with poop. I gotta make sure.
Move on, Matt. Move on.
It is a crappy show today.
Obviously.
I gotta find it. Mercedes Martinez made her debut first match in Siding. Casey Canzaro return.
Mrs. Ricochet. And Shayna Baszler is come back since the first time since losing the title. So some surprises here. We also had
like any battle royals, it's scrape, kick, scream in the corner, and until you eliminate some people, until it really gets going, and we get down to final 5 was Baszler, Tegan Nox, Io Shirai, Bianca Belair. And Baszler eliminated Martinez. A little battle on the ropes. And I want to see Baszler versus Martinez. They had a stare down in that match.
Well, and I found this out too, Matt. Supposedly Martinez trained Shayna Baszler when she broke in the business. So, so they can do a little something there if they want to. There,
it just looks. Then that stare off. There's a stare off in this match. Just like, yeah, I want to see that.
That surprised me, but wow, they had Shotzi eliminate Shayna, which I think that was that was pretty bold there of Triple H, don't you think? Like having
and make an impact.
That says,
because Baszler wasn't going to win this.
No. I mean, to me, that says a lot about what they think of her there.
Yeah, and Dakota Kai was suspiciously absent from this battle royal because you knew when Tegan Nox was in it. Dakota Kai comes out and eliminates her, and it continues that.
I feel like that's
feud.
I feel like that's probably happening at Takeover.
Yes,
think, right?
Probably in Portland.
Yeah.
And then she grabs the knee. She had the knee brace, and she's on the Tegan Nox is on the ground. Dakota Kai gets a knee brace and just chucks it, hits her right in the face. I was like, oh, that had to hurt. So we come down to Io Shirai and Bianca Belair. Unfortunately, this is where my DVR recording cut out right at the end when they're battling on the apron. So I had no idea until like 5 minutes ago who won, and I'm mad. Because I kind of wanted Io Shirai, but Bianca Belair is your new number 1 contender to face.
And I'll tell you this why it was a good decision. Do you really think that anyone's going to be beating Rhea Ripley on her first title defense?
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. So,
but I want Io Shirai.
And I also think that there probably are going to be calling up a Bianca here sooner rather than later too, especially with her husband on like Raw. Right
I'm kind of grown worry of Bianca. I don't care.
Well, honestly, yeah. I mean, like anyone called up to either Raw or SmackDown.
Well, it's not. That's not it. That's not.
It's absolutely.
No, no, it's just her as her. I'm just like, if what's her face, Baszler got called up. I'm like, oh, I'm excited. That's awesome. Then Bianca, I'm like Io Shirai. Bianca, I'm like, oh, we kind of seen this. I don't care. I care, but I want it deep as a fan. I want Io Shirai.
You just said that you didn't care.
I mean, I care, but I don't care. But Io Shirai, I wanted Io Shirai to win as a fan.
Yeah.
I can be a fan.
Nope.
So yeah, that's pretty much another good, solid, best matches by far.
One thing I wanted to mention before we get to the.
You're gonna watch this to help me out talking about this. God damn it!
The funny moment. The funny moment of the week. It was also made official yesterday that, in fact, Taz has signed with All Elite Wrestling, which I was super pumped about. I gotta think he's probably is going to be the main guy over on AEW Dark. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped about that. In my personal opinion, I think with Taz, he's by far their best commentator in that company. I don't think it's really even close. So a really good sign for AEW there. He was really good on the Homecoming show when he filled in for Tony Schiavone. So Matt, anything to add there with Taz?
No. I think if you get Excalibur out, because somehow he's play-by-play announcer because he's calling the moves. and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who you're going to replace, but it better be Excalibur.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, what I would do,
He could do Dark.
I would take out either Excalibur or JR and just do strictly Shivani and Taz. I would be perfectly fine with that. And with Shivani,
they're not getting rid of JR.
Obviously, but yeah. So that was the news, Matt. Let's get to the funny moment.
Funny story of the week. This comes from us from Mexico. Mexico.
Oh God.
Funny to him. So the Mexico City, the subway stations have had some problems with their escalators. Been broken down a lot. Travelers have been blaming the officials, but they have another explanation why some of these escalators are not working.
Is it poop?
It's not 2. It's number 1. As it says here, vast amounts of pee.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, there's a theme here today of bodily functions. Apparently, somehow urine is penetrating and corroding the drive wheels and mechanisms of the escalators that carry riders from the subway. In a list published Tuesday, the Metro system listed, quote, corrosion due to urine as one of the top 5 causes of escalator breakdowns. So apparently people are just peeing on the escalators, what have you. Said the system's assistant manager says riders appear to be urinating on escalators at off-peak hours and lightly used stations. Quote, even though it seems hard to believe. And person says when we open up escalators for maintenance, there's always urine. So, apparently most stations don't have a public bathroom facilities, and that Twitter users pointed out. So when you have to go, just pee in the escalators. Mm-hmm. So yeah, urine, sticky escalators down in Mexico City.
Well, that was weird, but
it's a funny story.
But that was the theme apparently for this week.
Yes, urine and pee and poop.
So yeah, guys, that's going to about do us for this week's episode, for episode 24 of the podcast. Matt and I will be back for next week. We are going to, as we said on last week's show, we're not going to be doing another reaction show for at least another week or two.
Probably more.
Okay, so
it might be a while.
Okay, so we're just gonna be sticking with our weekly podcast, which those drop every Saturday at 3 p.m. ish. So you guys know what to do. Comment, subscribe. Also, we do have our own Twitter page.
Like the video. Yes. At let me make sure I'm saying this right, because I made it. At MJ Make a Podcast.
Yes.
Link, you can link the below in the description.
Yes. So go and follow that page. Matt and or I will typically post when the podcast is live. So stay tuned for that. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe, hit that bell for when new podcasts come out. And for Matt and for myself, we bid you adieu. Have a good week, everybody.